Joe Burrow, the Bengals' #1 overall draft pick in this year's NFL draft. What a season. What a college football season, one for the history books. Nonetheless, Joe Burrow would go on to throw for 5,671 passing yards, 60 TDs, 6 INTs, and a ridiculous 76.3% completion percentage, a Heisman Trophy, not to mention a national championship. There was only one thing really missing, if speaking of from a Bengals fan perspective here, was a date with Ohio State. We knew how dominant that Ohio State pass defense was this season, and it would have been something to see how not only how he did against his former team, but how he did against that defense, which personally I believed was the best pass defense in college football last season. Besides that, he tore apart top defenses. You look past that, he tore apart Georgia, Clemson, put on an absolute clinic against Oklahoma. He did very well against good teams this season. That's important to look at, making sure he just ain't boosting up them stats against the bad college football teams. He played very well against the top ones. His ability to create time, throw on the run is at an elite level. His ability to go through progressions is at a high level. His ability to identify matchups at the line of scrimmage is at an NFL level. Confidence, elite level. Ability to stand in the pocket and stay composed under duress, elite level. Throwing into tight windows, elite level. This is a guy that checked off virtually every box you can check off when it comes to being a pure passer in the NFL. The big question now is, how does that transition into the NFL? Does it transition well, or does he struggle? I mean, you look at, we hear a lot of things we hear about the Joe Burrow as well. Oh, of course he did that with LSU. You look at all the weapons yet. Anybody could have done that. That is something you hear from every salty fan that did not have Joe Burrow on their team last season. By the way, for the record, full disclaimer on that one, but Joe Burrow, I get it. They did have some good players on that team. They had some guys to go out and get the balls, but let's not sit here and pretend that that's not what NFL players are paid to do, to go out there and make good plays, get those 50-50 balls. Different game, but more importantly, from this perspective, I look at Cincinnati and say, they got 3 or 4 guys like that. They got 3 or 4 guys that can win those 50-50 catches, be those guys Joe Burrow can trust in tight windows to come up with the ball. I mean, you look at Green, Boyd, Higgins. I love what Alden Tate did, even though it was a smaller sample size last season. I think this guy's got great hands, a guy that can, I think, really will play well with Joe Burrow. And then you got John Ross, who can take the top off of defenses. How the offensive line holds up might be the bigger concern here for me. You look at, how many hits can this guy actually take in the NFL? It's a big difference, college to the NFL. How many times can this guy get knocked on his back with these big guys in the NFL? It's a different demon in the NFL. You look at this offensive line, I want to say it started to improve the end of last season. It did. They started to play better. They started to use the run game to relieve some pressure as well there. But the question still remains, can it hold up this season? Can they be even better than last season? I don't need an elite offensive line, but we need to see an average offensive line, I think, out of these Bengals this season. Can't see one allowing 50 sacks a season. That's not going to work out too well. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is back there. Between the offensive line and my other, probably the bigger concern here with Joe Burrow personally is the tight window throwing. This guy was lacing them into such small windows in college. It was great to watch. He did a very good job of, throwing the ball where only his man could catch it. At the same time, though, there was a lot of times where he threw it in really tight windows where his guy came down with it. And when you see those kind of plays transition to the NFL, the guys are a lot quicker in the NFL. Those tight windows in college get closed down and picked off in the NFL. And that is where I think you can probably expect Joe Burrow to start throwing more interceptions early. You're going to see some, what was he thinking there? That was a bad, or a throw that he didn't need to make type of throw. It's going to be a learning progress there. Part of the learning struggles, or the growing pains per se here when you first come into the league. I think he'll learn from it. I think he'll be like, oh, okay, we can't do that in the NFL. That's not going to work. Gonna have to make a better throw there. It'll be something he grows from, but I think rookie year, we're going to see more interceptions because of it. But as per the usual, we'll take a look at some other quarterbacks who jumped straight into the NFL, didn't skip, the first half of the season, or they didn't sit out the entire first half of the season, and how they did in their first year. Matt Ryan, pretty solid quarterback now, 3,440 yards, 16 TDs, 11 INTs his rookie year. You had Kyler Murray, just came in last season, 3,722 yards, 20 TDs, 12 INTs, threw for 64.4% though. The thing with Kyler Murray, he is a different quarterback than Joe Burrow, though. He does throw, or he does, uses his legs a little bit more. Nonetheless, good season out of Kyler Murray. Andy Dalton, you want to talk about him? We might as well. 3,398 yards, 20 TDs, 13 INTs. Decent season. It wasn't that bad. Baker Mayfield, 37-25, 27 TDs, 14 INTs, 63.8% completion. And the comparison I really like right now is, whether you want to call him the same player or not, completely different story, not the same. But the comparison of entering the league, what he has around him, and what he did, what he's got the capabilities of doing. I like looking at Andrew Luck. I like the Luck comparison. 43-74 on the passing yards, 23 TDs, 18 INTs, 627 attempts that first year. He threw the ball a lot, threw 54% of a completion percentage there as well. But, you know, you had guys like Reggie Wayne, you had T.Y. Hilton, Dwayne Allen, Cody Fleener as well. You had some weapons. He had some weapons when he came into the league, and he didn't have an offensive line to boot, right? They had no offensive line. I think the big difference between the two entering the league was, you know, the Bengals are going to have a run game, we expect here. The Colts really couldn't establish that ever for Luck until he was finally gone, and then Marlon Mack got going there. But there is a lot of comparisons you can draw between the, you know, the teams they inherit coming into the league there. Not to mention for the Bengals, though, you know, we mentioned it with that run game. Joe Mixon. He's going to be a pressure alleviator. As long as the Bengals continue to use him, he's a great running back, and he's going to make it easier on Joe Burrow to, you know, go out there and sling the ball. They ain't going to be expecting pass every time. This guy can get him into second and shorts, third and shorts due to the run game. I think that helps. End of the day, though, Coach Taylor wants to air this ball out, I think, period. He likes to throw the football. The Bengals offense was a nightmare last season. We did see them start to run it more in the back half, but Andy Dalton was on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards. Think about that. 4,000 yards, Andy Dalton after that season. He was benched for 3 games. If it wasn't for it, he would have probably cracked it. That being said, I do think we see him go out there, and either once he gets that confidence going, once he feels comfortable with Joe Burrow, I think we see these guys go out there, and they're going to go out there and throw the ball quite a bit. I'm going to say Joe Burrow, his first year in the NFL, we're saying 4,284 pass yards, 26 TDs, 16 INTs, and a 63.1% completion percentage. We'll see what happens. That's our predictions. Would love to hear yours. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.